Okay, looks like we're live. That's a good start. It's Tuesday, but it feels like a Monday because Monday was a holiday. We're back into the swing of things right here. Happy to be here. Happy to be talking to you. It's been a while, like longer than normal, but it is Tuesday, the 11th of April. My name is Sean Shapiro, and I am here to answer your traffic and police questions. We do it all the time. It's kind of my thing. It's kind of what I do. I like it. Let's take a couple of minutes to discuss how to actually interact with us. Good morning to Leo wife. By the way, my wife is watching at home on YouTube, so that's awesome. Always love it when I know she's in the room because that means she's going to be answering questions about stuff and things. She knows a lot of stuff and things, and she shares that knowledge. Let's see here. I want to discuss very briefly Vision Zero, the enforcement team. But I also want to cover the how to talk to us. So if you are currently watching us on TikTok, JD is in the chat and he will be able to cut and paste over your questions and put them into the queue that allows me to actually see them because I don't spend time reading the chat if I can avoid it. But hello from Portugal. T.Cop is currently visiting Portugal and sends greetings. See, I looked at the chat and I said I wasn't going to. If you're on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram, you can ask your own questions very easily. The easiest is YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn and Facebook, where I can actually put your stuff on screen, like I just did for Kayla Draconis, who says greetings and salutations. That makes life easy. But of course, if you have the chat, then we can totally jump in. So we have, I'm just going to acknowledge a few people here. We've got Hatem. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I'm going to try anyway. Tracy, good morning. And it was good morning to Hatem. We have Emma, good morning. We've got Master Technician coming in from Peterborough, not quite as far away as Portugal, but still has a P. Cold Laker coming in from Toronto. We've got Gary, who wants to know about plate scanners. Okay, let's talk about that just after we discuss the Vision Zero enforcement team. First things first, what is the Vision Zero enforcement team? It is a dedicated group of officers who do nothing but enforce the HTA. You probably thought I was going to say they do nothing. Anyway, they do lots of things. They write a lot of tickets. They are there to change driver behavior one ticket at a time. No hugs are given. And they are focused on the big four. What are the big four? Well, I'm so glad you asked. I'm trying to buy time so I can press the button. The big four include speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. They are the offenses, the driver behaviors that we know lead to serious injury and death. And we don't want people to get hurt on the road, so we ask that you don't do it. We ask nicely, we educate, and some people still choose to do it. And when they do, we issue them tickets. And what happens when you get it? You know, let's have a quick sidebar. Order of operations. We'll come back to this. I'm going to tell you where they are today, and then we'll talk about what happens when you get a ticket, because there's a lot of confusion. I don't think people really understand what happens when you get a ticket. So being that it's April 11th, we have officers working in 23 Division and 42 Division. Now, they are in other areas of the city. These are just where the Vision Zero enforcement team is focusing their efforts to assist the work that's being done every day in those divisions. Well, what does that division mean? What are those boundaries? Here's some example places. Neighborhoods like Rexdale, Jamestown, Martin Grove, Malvern, Agincourt, Milliken, Rouge, Scarborough. Those are places where people who are real people, now they're all real people in the city, but I'm saying people live there. They're real people who deserve to work, play, enjoy their community in safety, not worried about traffic coming out and menacing and creating noise and unsafe roads where people have to be concerned whether or not they can cross the street safely. It's not okay. Not okay. If it was your neighborhood, you'd want us there. And today, although it's different every day, that's where they are today. In terms of what happens when you get a ticket, yes, you get a ticket. Yes, there is a financial. Well, actually, sometimes there's no number, there's no dollar amount on there. But let's say you get a ticket and it says $110. So what good is that? Is it just a tax grab? Is it just a way for the city to make money? Well, the goal is to simply have folks not break the law. And if they forget or they ignore it, then they should be held accountable so that they can change their behavior. Now, what happens? Does your insurance go up? Possibly. Depending on the charge, insurance companies may classify it as a minor or major. So if you have a major, probably they're going to look at your insurance and raise your rates, which really bothers a lot of people. They don't like that. I don't think anybody likes it, but Is it reasonable that they increase your rates when you break the law? I think so. If you're choosing to break the law, if you're choosing to engage in behavior that leads to death and injury and lack of safety for a global statement, well then yeah, your insurance rates should go up because you're a higher risk. You're causing the problem, and you should be held accountable. Not only from the insurance perspective, but you accumulate points. What are demerit points for? Well, the Office of Driver Responsibility, I believe that's what they're called. They look at that and they add points based on the charge. And the more points you get, they start going through stages. We can talk about what those stages are, but ultimately the goal is to take your license away. Yes, it is. And people are always worried about their insurance rates in relation to the points. But insurance companies don't care about points. The responsibility office does. Because once you get to a certain number of them, you lose your license, whether it be a temporary suspension or a permanent one. Now, that means something. But people are always saying, I'll plead down to something with no points. It doesn't matter if you left your license at home. 3 of those tickets that are minor could result in an increase of your insurance because it'll then be classified as a major, even though it wasn't a moving violation. I didn't know that, by the way. I was talking to the Insurance Bureau of Canada, and they were telling me that. So I thought that was interesting, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day. You should be following us if you don't. If you're watching on TikTok, I ask you to please tap that screen until your fingers go numb. Helps to promote the show. And our lives are here Monday to Friday from 10 to 11, usually. Occasionally, we start early because we want to have more people on that are on with the radio. Because we join Jerry Yeager on News Talk 1010, and that's every other week on Wednesdays usually. And we give an extra 30 minutes to our live because we don't want to take away from our audience in order to, serve their audience. But it's the extra large, extra special, most magical, and we do that every other week. And then on the opposing week, we also join, although it's an afternoon session, we join up with another radio station, AM 640. Anyway, so many cool things. Let's see here. We talked about that. We talked about this. Okay, I said I was going to talk about a question about automatic license plate readers because it was asked early on when I was saying my hellos. What is this? What does the license plate scanner show? It shows the license plate. That's actually all a license plate scanner does. It reads the license plate, and it's no different than if we typed in your license plate manually. It's just skipping the step and automatically or automagically. I like automagically more. It checks, it runs the search that we would have run manually, and then it's everything that a police database provides us. So what does it mean? It'll show us who owns the car, if the information associated with the registered number, registered owner number, RIN. What is RIN? RIN is anyway. You can have a RIN number, you can have a driver's license number associated. It gives us that. But we can also search to find out if the person has insurance, at least what the last status was. We can search to find out if the person's wanted. There's all sorts of information that we can get back just from running the license plate. It's good stuff. Okay, good morning to Tim, who says, good morning, Sean. And we have a question from Master Technician. What is the charge for burnt out headlight bulb? Well, you're required under the Highway Traffic Act to run 2 bulbs facing forward. They can be yellow or white, and the charge for improper headlights is $110. So this is that fun time where everyone should be walking around their vehicle and doing a circle check. And light bulbs do burn out. I like to keep spares on me because I have a vehicle that allows me to change the light bulbs. I understand that some vehicles, some high-tech doodads, don't allow you to do it easily, and it's a big job to go to the mechanic and do it. You still have to get it done, and you're still eligible for a ticket whilst waiting for it to get it done, but it may not be something you can do roadside, or so I'm told. Okay. Are traffic violations based on the HTA or Canada Safety Code? Well, I don't know what the Canada Safety Code is, to be quite honest, because my focus is the Highway Traffic Act. Every province has their own traffic act or traffic safety code. So it's not a federally mandated set of laws. It's a provincial act. So it's all based on the HTA. But now I'm curious, what is this Canada Safety Code to which you speak? And maybe it's something that I should be studying and have never studied because I've never actually heard anybody say it until you right now. So thank you, Jerry. You've given me homework. Love Rice asks, hello, sir. Do you need a college diploma to be a police officer? Actually, no, you don't. And we have the ability to go on screen right now and show you exactly what the requirements actually are. Here we go. Sharing. What do we have here under the careers? So if we go into police constable, and all this information is available at tps.ca/careers, you can see what the requirements are. And the basics, and although there are more, to be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident of Canada. See, we're cool. In the United States, you have to be a citizen in most provinces, or in most states, I should say. And in Canada, you don't need to be. You have to have a permanent resident status, minimum. 18 years of age minimum, physically and mentally able to perform the duties of the position, having regard to your own safety and the safety of members of the public, and successfully completed at least 4 years of secondary school. That gets you your OSSD, Ontario Secondary School Diploma, or its equivalent. And they do their homework. They check on stuff like this. Good moral character and habits, meaning that you are an individual that other people view as being trustworthy and having integrity. Now, there are other things that you can see right here in terms of vision, your history, certificates you have. All that information is available for you to research and look into further on the website. If you look at the fuzzy code in the top right-hand corner, is it right-hand corner of the screen, left-hand corner of the screen? What corner of the screen is it for you? But there is a code on screen, and you can use that to go to my link tree where we have links to these pages. Okay. Keegan wants to know, what's the fine for no front license plate? The fine is $110. It's for failing to display 2 license plates. You are required to under the Ontario Highway Traffic Act. You're issued 2, you got to display 2. Can't be behind the windshield, can't be sideways on the side of the car. Has to be on the front of the vehicle as per regulations in a conspicuous place, readily available for scanning and viewing, the pleasure of all who gaze upon your vehicle. It cannot be covered by anything. You can't have any license plate covers. You can't have any frames. Just got to be a plate, just mounted to the front. For those who don't like putting things on their bumper, tow hook adapters are perfectly acceptable as long as they are not angled or rotated, because it has to be the way it has to be. What is the fine for passing a school bus with a stop sign out? I'd like to say that I remember it, but I don't. I think it's somewhere in the vicinity of $490, but I'm going to quickly look. School bus. Let's look for the biggest fine here, because there it is. Failed to stop for school bus, stop arm, meeting, overtaking. There's a bunch of different wordings, but the end of the day, it's $490, and my memory was correct. And that's the deal. Now, there's new legislation, or there's a new ticket that's been added to the HTA, and that allows automatic enforcement to take place. Now, I haven't read it recently, but I believe the difference will be that'll be the same when laid automatically with automated enforcement devices once they're in place, if they are in place in some regions. I don't think there's any points that'll go. However, if you do it with a police officer present, and they are the ones who are, here it is. Okay, so the owner ones are already on the HTA, 175.19. That's no points, but if it's a police officer that's laying the charge, well then 6 demerit points. So I prefer it if a police officer catches the people who choose to put children's lives at risk. It's inexcusable behavior. But I appreciate your question, and we're going to move on. Burger King. Burger King, does Canada have a no chase law for motorcycles, and is lane splitting legal? So Canada does not have a motorcycle no chase law. Absolutely not. We are entitled to, first of all, laws that are Canada-wide. The one that most people refer to as the Criminal Code of Canada. The Highway Traffic Act is provincial, so each province has their own. But no, even the HTA does not have a no vehicle chase law or no motorcycle chase law. We have to evaluate every situation on their own. So in the event that there's somebody who needs to be chased, we might have to chase them. We always take public safety into consideration. And the big problem with motorcycles when they run is they think they're hot stuff, but they tend to crash and hurt themselves and hurt others. So we don't want to create a situation, especially for something very minor. We'll get the license plate. We'll meet you at your house and arrest you there if you decide to run. Now, if it's lane splitting we're talking about, that is not permitted. It is careless driving at the minimum. It is stunt driving or even dangerous driving, which becomes criminal. Or stunt driving is HTA and serious, but when you go over the realm into the criminal code for dangerous driving, that's a whole different ball of wax. Okay. When can a G2 driver drive? A G2 driver can drive once they have their G2 anytime. There's no restrictions as to when they can drive. There are restrictions as to the number of passengers under the age of 20 who can be in the motor vehicle between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. And that changes in the first and second 6 months of having a G2 license. You must have your G2 for a year before you can apply for a G, but that's pretty much it. Yeah. And of course, you must maintain a 0 BAC blood alcohol content. Is it legal to drive with no bed on a pickup truck? Yeah. I don't think a bed on a pickup truck is a requirement under the HTA. If you've got the rest of your equipment, of all your lights and are there, because obviously if you remove the bed of most modern vehicles, you're going to have something. I wonder, because you could have a trailer hitch, not a trailer hitch, but you could have like a fifth wheel assembly there, just like an 18-wheeler or a tractor. 18-wheelers when the tractor is attached. Yeah, I see no reason why that would be anything less than legal. But again, have to have all the equipment, has to be safety, it has to be appropriate. But just not having the bed attached, I think you're fine. What is this? What are the cameras on the roofs of police vehicles? What do they do? Cameras on the roofs? Oh, depending on which vehicles and what service, those might be your ALPR automated license plate readers. Every service will employ different technology. It's not the same manufacturer, so it might be what you're talking about. I don't know. You have pictures, you have photos? I want to see. We have a couple of parking enforcement vehicles that have, is it one? Actually, I don't know how many vehicles we have. We have at least one, possibly two, that have old school cameras mounted to the roof. And that's what they're for. They're part of the street sweeper project. They drive around, they scan vehicles that are parked looking for stolen vehicles. I don't believe that the newer technology requires external cameras to be mounted, though. I don't know. But if that's what you're talking about, well, I don't know if you know. You're asking me, so I don't know if you know. All right. I'm entertaining myself here. What do we got? That showed up 4 times for some reason. If T.Cop gets a ticket in Portugal, will there be points on my Ontario license? You know what? I don't know. I don't know if international reporting happens. Within the United States and Canada, definitely there's communication. I don't know if it'll work. Australia sends back information. Hopefully you just don't get a ticket. Why would you get a ticket? I don't know. Oh. Somebody's spamming. Spammy spam person. Hang on a second. I imagine it's already been dealt with, so I'll ignore it. I'm not gonna mess with the flow. But if you're in the chat on TikTok in particular, please don't spam. Ask your question and know that it takes a while to get to you because there's a lot of people there. And I don't actually read that. It's all being left up to the producer JD, who will take your question and throw it into a space that I can see it. Okay. Let's talk about this. This is fantastic. Much appreciated. The Canadian Show, my friend, who will one day go live with me, not because he's slowing me down, but because I'm slowing him down. We've been talking about doing a live together, doing some Canadian traffic trivia, because he does twice a week, Canadian trivia on TikTok. You should follow him if you don't already do. So the request is, can you explain to me what the left lane, fast lane means? How is there a fast lane, but you can't break the speed limit? Well, first of all, there is no fast lane. Every lane on the highway has the exact same speed limit. The limit is the one posted, and in most highways, that's 90, 100, or 110. In Toronto, our Toronto highways are 90. On the 400 series, most of them are 100. In some very short stretches, they go up to 110. So what does a fast lane mean? It means if you are traveling slower than the speed limit, you should stay to the right, because that's how it works. There is a passing lane. And I don't even know if passing lane is a legitimate title, because first of all, fast lane doesn't exist. Passing lane doesn't really exist either. It's just another lane, and slower moving traffic should stay to the right. But at no time are you allowed to exceed the speed limit, even to pass. People get really bummed out about that. They want to go faster. They want some authority to go faster than those slow pokes who are just doing the speed limit, which is the limit, right? I set my cruise control every morning for the speed limit and annoy everybody else on the road. And I get great personal pleasure in doing that because nobody should be passing me because I'm doing the speed limit. There's no reason to. You get to wherever you're going marginally faster, marginally, but you increase your risk of collision tremendously. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, Alex has a question on Insta. And the question is, if my dog bit my finger while driving, swerving, and a cop pulls me over for suspected DUI, can I what? Where's the rest of the question? Well, okay, I should have read to the end because the question is gone. It's just a statement. So if your dog bit your finger, first of all, your dog wasn't in the backseat tethered or crated like they should have been, you could totally get a charge for careless driving. That's the answer to your question. Okay. Scrolling on back. I want to see what I've got here because these update in bulk. And when they scrolling on down. And thank you also. I did have a wonderful weekend. Hope you did too. Okay. Okay. Oh, I missed a whole bunch of these. It appears I did. Okay, here we go. Does running a license plate tell you about an expired license and if they have insurance? Yes, generally it would. It would tell us what the MTO has as the most recent information about your insurance, but it may not be up to date. So we may have to investigate further. But it will tell us if if the registered owner has an expired license. I don't necessarily know if you are not the registered owner, whether or not yours is expired. But that's what investigations are for. How slow is too slow on a highway? Follow-up question from the Canadian show. The answer is it depends. Depends on what the road conditions are. In weather, actually not just but like driving schools say slow down, a minimum of 10 kilometers under the posted limit, because you need to go slower when there's inclement weather, snow, ice. But that might actually not be 10 kilometers as a requirement. You have to go 50 kilometers because it's just so unsafe to go 60 kilometers. Like, it all depends. That it's all going to be based on the observations that officer makes on what everybody else is doing. But if everyone is doing 120 and you're doing 100, that's not too slow. That's actually legal, and everybody else deserves a ticket. So that's that. Scrolling back to see what I missed. Water good. Why don't officers pull over more transports driving dangerous, passing, and far left on a 4-lane road? Well, it's not against the law for transport trucks to pass on the far left. They are limited in speed in terms of an Ontario registered vehicle can only do 105, but that could be safe. So it depends on if there's something very specific you're talking about that I'm not picking up, let me know. Let me know. Can the license plate be mounted on a roof rack for SUVs? Front license plate? No. Must be on the front of the vehicle, not facing front, the front of the vehicle, which means it must be on the front bumper, front grille, front, nothing forward of that space. It doesn't count on the hood, on the windshield, on a roof rack, but it's a good try. A lot of folks don't like having license plate frames, or license, I should say. License plate frames are actually illegal, but license plates on the front of their vehicle. And I don't know why they're allergic to them. Mine have been there since day one. What is the fine for no front license plate? $110. Yes. And if you continue to accumulate $110 tickets, because some people say, hey, it's worth $110 every time I get stopped because I like it the way I like it. Well, eventually, if the person that's pulling you over is switched on and sees a history of violations for this particular offense, will then send they'll take away your option of going to court. They will give you a summons to court, which means in the case, it'll be saying that you don't like to follow the rules and you should go talk to a justice of the peace and explain to them why you don't respect the legal system or the laws of this province or country. And that gets uncomfortable. I would imagine that's very uncomfortable. But it does. There is a range. The $110 is the face value of a ticket. It's the set fine, but that doesn't mean that a justice of the peace in court is limited to that. They can raise that within a range. I don't know what the range is for that particular one. I assume it would be somewhere up to $500, possibly more. Yeah. Boy, I wonder if it would be worth $500 for someone to not drive with a front plate. Listen, we need front plates. It has been determined that it is better for identifying vehicles. In fact, it's twice as good as having one plate. Yes, it is. Twice the odds of identifying a vehicle. Why would we want to identify a vehicle? Well, in the event of a collision, especially in a fail to remain scenario, because that happens more often than we'd like, but it happens. So there you go. Can we remove the old stickers on my plate? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. Now, if you renew your license plates, well, let's talk about this. Let's go into greater detail. Opening up the screen. Okay. I'm going to give you a little tip. Well, it's actually a really simple thing. If you go and visit my link tree, which is what that scan code on the screen is, or go to trafficcop.ca. You can get links to all of our socials, my socials. But when you get to the bottom, after you get all the other stuff, you get this great link right here, renew your license plate. And when you click it, it'll take you directly to the screen where you need to enter your license plate. And it's free, so you should do it. You can choose 1 or 2 years. I don't know why anybody chooses 1 year, but it's an option. In any case, make sure you're renewed. The sticker used to be a great hint for people, but yes, you can remove your old license plate stickers. They're no longer required for most vehicles, as long as your vehicle is under 3,000 kilos and it doesn't require them, because certain commercial vehicles or heavier vehicles still do need them. Don't remove them on those. Okay. Talked about that. Talked about this. Oddly enough, someone asked me about this a couple days ago. Is it legal to change lanes mid-intersection? It's not illegal in Ontario. Might be illegal elsewhere. I grew up thinking it was illegal. I don't know why, but I did believe that. It is less safe because everyone doing their own thing within the intersection is expecting pretty static behavior and movement. So if you're in lane 1, you should probably be in lane 1 until you get to the other side. If you can't do that because something happens, there's a collision you're avoiding, if there's a reason to do it, you obviously have to do what's safest, and that might be changing lanes. But know that if you change lanes mid-intersection and it causes a collision, you're going to be on the hook for it. It's not like you can do it, but you're still responsible for the movements, and changes of lane or turns are something that the driver making that move is responsible for. Okay, I like this question. Can you get your car repainted a different color and not tell the ministry? No. You have 6 days to change the ministry information, update the ministry information after the change occurs, because that's the law. Hey, if you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day that I show up for work. Yes. When I'm not here, sometimes I do it from home. I did it last week. I worked remotely and was still able to do a live because I try. I don't want to abandon you. I want to make sure I'm here so I can answer your questions. But sometimes it doesn't work out. In any case, please follow us if you don't already do that. You can follow us at all of the different platforms that we're on, and we do different things on different platforms. Generally, this live stream goes out on, well, just about all of them. But if you're on Twitter, you can't actually get through to us during the live. You need to go onto any one of the other platforms. And I apologize. I usually say that at the beginning of the show, and I realize now that I neglected to do so. So if you're really frustrated why we're ignoring you, Twitter, it's because the technology just don't work. It used to work when it was Periscope. And when it switched over to Twitter Live, the API is no longer compatible with Restream, which is the hosting service that allows us to stream onto multiple platforms simultaneously. Okay. We talked about this. We talked about that. We also answered that question, sort of. And just because I'm buying time, I can acknowledge you and say you're very welcome. I'm glad to answer your questions. And things are starting to die down. We got a project that I'm finishing off in the next 24 to 48 hours, at which point I will be able to get in touch with you and talk about doing that episode. By the way, the Tarzan Dan one was pretty cool. Here's a good question. We've talked about it, but not recently. Can a regional officer, like what is NRP? Niagara Regional Police, I have to think about that for a second, pull you over on a highway, or can only the OPP? Police officers in Ontario are police officers in Ontario, and they have authority within the entire province. Do we generally go hanging out in other people's jurisdictions? Generally, no. Do we have authority to enforce the Highway Traffic Act anywhere in the province? Yeah. And the criminal code anywhere in the province? Yeah. Now, outside of the province, we need special authorities to operate in neighboring provinces because we're only sworn in here. Does it happen where we have to go to other places? Yeah, we get sworn in. Uh, I think it's under the RCMP or the local jurisdiction if we're only going to stay in one area, because there are projects sometimes where we have the authority outside of the province. But generally speaking, in the province, yes, without question. Maybe we'll phone a friend because I don't want to give you a ticket for Toronto if we're in Niagara. It's a long drive for you to go dispute it. Okay. What was that question? Things are updating. I have to scroll back constantly. Why are LED headlights legal? Is it legal for someone to drive around with their high beams on? So, LED headlights that are legal have to pass the qualifications to be considered legal. You can't just put LEDs on and blind people. They have to be properly focused, and it's just a different light source. So not all LED light bulbs are created equal. Some of them are magical. If they're factory, they meet the requirements. If they're aftermarket, they may not. So it depends. If they're too bright, if they're over 3,000 lumens, I believe is the maximum. That's 300 is the minimum to be considered a headlight, and then I believe 3,000 is the maximum. So if it's over that, or if they're misdirected, you can still get a headlight ticket. If you are driving with your high beams on, that's absolutely not legal. It is prohibited. So there's your answer. What is the protocol for police if they don't speak English? Well, if you pull someone over, I would. I don't know if it's spelled out quite this way, but I'll tell you some of the resources we have available to us. So I have pulled over many people who don't understand, or English isn't their first language. We do our best to communicate, and if we can establish that there's a basic understanding of what's being said, we'll continue with best efforts to explain what's going on. If it's clear that the person is not understanding what's going on, we'll try and find an officer on duty who has the ability to translate into that language. And I've had many situations where either I've put another officer on speakerphone and had enough conveyed so that we could get the message, because we're not talking about in-depth investigation. We're asking for basic information and getting basic information back. If we can't get an officer on the air, we do have access to a translation service that is through telephone that would allow us to communicate. But at the end of the day, no one gets a free pass. If we're pulling you over for a violation, we're going to, at the end of the day, result in writing that ticket, even if it was some less than perfect communication. But as long as we can get the basics through, and then courts will appoint an interpreter if there's questions after the fact. But I'm glad. I don't think anyone's ever asked that question before. So that's my best answer without thinking about it any further than I just did. Okay. Question. Front headlight is out, waiting for appointment, but running light LED still work. Is this an issue? Running lights aren't headlights. So you must have two headlights on. If you have fog lights on, technically that is a second bulb that is over 300 lumens and may get you out of the requirement of having a minimum of two headlights on. But is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. But just running one bulb, you will get a ticket. There's no, I'm waiting for an appointment excuse in the HTA. Good try, though. Okay. There was something I wanted to address that I just saw. Trying to find it. We covered this. Oh, this is the one. Can you ride motorcycles in HOV lane on DVP? Well, actually, we don't have an HOV lane on the DVP. We have a diamond lane that is specifically reserved for GO buses, period. GO buses, GO vehicles. Police vehicles can obviously be there, but it's not an HOV lane. So that's the Don Valley Parkway. It does not have an HOV lane. That's, again, a bus lane for GO Transit. If you're talking about 400 series highways, then yes, you can, because in any 400 series highway, a motorcycle is permitted to be on there. Now, when we're talking about HOV lanes or multi-use diamond lanes, city bus lanes, or city multi-use lanes, diamond lanes in the city, those are not HOV lanes. They may give you the same privileges of an HOV lane, but it depends on what the sign says. And if it doesn't have a motorcycle, you don't automatically get the benefits. It must specifically show a motorcycle. Okay. I like it. This is a good question. What is the difference between solid yellow road lines, double, and single? So, first of all, a yellow road line means that on the other side of that line, traffic is going to be traveling towards you. If it's a white line, it means traffic on the other side of the line is traveling in the same direction as you. Important things to know. When you're talking about a double line, it's suggesting that you do not pass in either direction. If it is a single line solid, it's suggesting that you do not pass in either direction. The double line is usually double because it breaks in different areas, which would allow you, if there was hills and curves where one direction would have visibility, it might be hashed or dotted line, and the other side would be solid, saying one side could make the maneuver and the other side could not. Now, it's important to note that in Ontario, there's no offense for driving over a single, double, hashed, or solid line, but you're responsible for everything that happens after you do. So if it's a solid line, it's obviously suggesting that you do not cross it. If you choose to, and it results in collision, you're going to be held responsible for that. And now you know. What is this? Can I tow my boat and camping trailer at the same time? Generally speaking, no. Commercial vehicles can tandem tow, and your personal vehicle cannot. There are some exemptions once you start hitting a certain weight of vehicle, I believe. So full-size RVs may be able to, but you better make sure you know before you go, because it's not for the average vehicle. So you cannot do it in your personal vehicle. A pickup truck is not sufficient. Can Uber drivers use HOV lanes that also allow taxis? Radix wants to know, and this is coming through Instagram. How you doing, Radix? The answer is no, they cannot. An HOV lane has an exclusion for taxis, limos, buses, etc. A rideshare or Uber does not qualify. You cannot use the HOV lane if you're solo, if you're driver alone, whereas taxis can. You can obviously use them if you have sufficient number of passengers, which I think for the most part, I think it's just two. You just need a passenger, and then you'd be able to. Okay. Okay, here's a question from McGinn70. Can a police officer stop in a diamond lane on the Don Valley Parkway and set up his speed camera? So do we stop in a lane of travel to do speed enforcement? We don't generally do that, so I don't know if that's what they were doing. There's lots of other places we would set up to do it, generally not in a live lane. So I don't know if it can. I don't know that scenario. I think that you may have seen something that you didn't see, or you think you've seen something that you didn't see. But if they were doing something else and they were there and they turned on their camera or their laser and they noticed that you were speeding, they used their device to confirm it, and they did speed enforcement as a result of just being there because they were there, would it be illegal? No. But generally, we don't tell people to stop in lanes to do a speed enforcement. Okay. Can you mount a communication system to a motorcycle helmet? GoPros mounted seem to be illegal. GoPros mounted are illegal, as are the fuzzy covers that I posted a video about this morning. But communication systems don't mount directly to the outside of the helmet. If you had one glued to the shell, I would say it is illegal. But most of the helmet systems or communication systems actually use a shim or a plastic that slides in between the shell and the padding. So it's just there as a friction mount. In the event of a collision, it snaps off and leaves the helmet. It's not affixed to the shell. And I believe that's why it's not a legal issue or a safety issue for that matter. So GoPros, illegal. Comm systems that are mounted appropriately are legal. Need more water. Okay. Oh, these things just updated as out. No, that's not the one I wanted. Okay. How does a B3 speed detector different from other radars? Can I request the detections of device? Can I request the detections of device? It's a radar device. It's just a B3 is just a mounted moving radar system mounted in a car. Can you request I don't know what the detections of the device are. There's no record. We make visual observations. We make notes based on those observations, and what the machine said. But there's no record to acquire. Akela makes a good point. Lines are enforceable if there's a sign that says they are, which actually means that the sign is enforceable. That's giving you direction. So if a sign says, do not cross the line, and you do, you're disobeying a sign. You're not just crossing the line. And now I seem to think that there should be a song written about it, because if you walk the line or cross the line, you should do time. No, I don't know. I'm looking for things that rhyme. Okay. Why is not wearing a seatbelt illegal? Why is not wearing a seatbelt? Where have you been? It's unsafe. Seatbelts still keep you in a vehicle in the event of a collision. It's like the bare bones minimum that you need to do to potentially survive a serious collision. Yeah, if you're not wearing your seatbelt, a number of things happen, but being ejected from the vehicle is possibly one of the most serious. Do we have a visitor? We do. Are you joining?
You know what? I could sit down for a few.
Okay.
I do have. I'm just waiting back for a phone call, so I may have to leave a little bit early.
Understandable.
But
Sergeant Campbell is going to join us.
Good morning.
You have stuff to wire up and
Stuff and such.
Stuff and such. Oh, that's a new variation. It's usually stuff and things, but stuff and such is new. Okay. Hello. For those who don't know who is joining me, this is Sergeant Murray Campbell.
Good morning, everyone.
The question is, why is not wearing a seatbelt illegal? I was just rambling on about that as you walked in.
Why is not wearing a seatbelt illegal? Oh,
and there's the phone call where you have to go.
That phone call that I said was coming in. Let me just go take this.
Okay. No, I want to take off the headphone. All right, we'll circle back because I want to hear what the sergeant has to say about it. But we'll come back. I'll flag that for a return. Let's see here. But it's yeah. Airbags, despite the belief of many, do not replace seatbelts. They only work in conjunction with seatbelts, part of a seatbelt restraint system. What's the legal tint limit? 30% is the maximum amount of light you can block in a window that's left or right of the driver. The ones in the back, you can go as dark as you want. The front windshields, you can have nothing, but the ones directly left and right of the driver can be 30% for the purposes of achieving a safety certificate, where a mechanic will put your plates on. But know this, you could actually get, if it was dark outside, atmospheric conditions, we say, and we couldn't see inside, you can still be charged for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle with a color or reflective coating. I don't know why people get tint that's so dark that that obstructs the ability of the public, the police, to see inside. You can't pick your nose in private. There's no what's it called? Reasonable expectation of privacy inside your motor vehicle. Police need to be able to see if you're wearing your seatbelt, using your cell phone. People need to be able to identify you. Pedestrians and cyclists need to be able to make eye contact. Well, for that matter, other motorists need to be able to make eye contact. So if it's so dark that you're obstructing the driver's view, there's charges for that as well, even though it may be meeting the requirements under the code for safety. Just for because if it's over 30%, we'll take your license plates. That's seizing your license plates for an unsafe motor vehicle. You can't drive an unsafe motor vehicle on the road. Okay. Oh, okay. I have a blue license plate. Are those legal, or do I need to get a new white one? My understanding is when you go to renew it, they're going to ask for it back because they're going to take them out of circulation. So while you are legal right now, you will not be able to keep it for very long. Yes. Here's a question. Is it illegal to not wear riding gear while driving a motorcycle? Well, we ride motorcycles, but I hear what you're saying. It's not a requirement under law to wear any particular piece of equipment like boots or gloves or long pants. You must wear a helmet, though, although there is one exception, and that is for members of the Sikh faith. They have recently achieved an exemption for religious purposes because they're wearing a turban, and you can't wear a helmet with a turban that I'm aware of. Yeah. George has a question. Vision Zero Enforcement Team locations are posted every week on the Facebook page. Does Vision Zero Enforcement Team decide that morning which divisions to set up in, or is the decision made days or weeks in advance? Fantastic question, George. Thanks for asking it. The deal is that it's actually our analysts, data analysts, based on a number of things, but crash data being one of them. They go and schedule these things, and it is done in advance. We know when they're coming. It's not done day of. So it's not a surprise. We're not trying to surprise anybody. We're rotating based on the needs on paper through the and I was trying to make up a new word for analytics, but I haven't figured it out yet. Yeah, it's all predetermined, and it rotates, but the schedule isn't. It's not day. It's not just a click 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 moving around the city. It is based on crash data. Okay. Is it illegal or is it legal? Is it legal to tint headlights? No, you can't tint your headlights. You cannot cover in any way your headlights. That is under the HTA, and it's $110 if you do. Why would that be? Well, first of all, you can't project anything other than white or yellow light. Tint would be changing the color to something other than white or yellow. And you cannot change the intensity. It has to be the appropriate intensity. Okay. Got that. Got this. What happens if I don't pay tickets from from Quebec, another province? So if you're an Ontario driver and you're visiting elsewhere and you're issued tickets and you choose not to pay, they can choose to suspend your license in that jurisdiction. And when you are suspended somewhere else, we accept their suspension. We would consider you suspended. And if you are suspended here, likewise, they would consider you suspended there. Yes. Now, let's say you're American, you're out of the country. They may or may not apply your suspension. So let's say you are suspended in Ontario, you go back home to the United States, and you come back to visit again. Well, you're still suspended here. So you're suspended here, even though you may not be suspended elsewhere. Yeah. Interesting things. Okay. Somebody wants to offer a promotion. Let me just go and delete them. I love the people who say, we can get you free viewers. I'm like, nah, we're good. Thanks. We are okay. Nicholas wants to know if they can report a reckless driver if there's video proving their behavior from a dash cam and their plate is visible. If yes, how can I do that? If not, why not? It depends. And it depends because sometimes there's enough information available to be able to lay charges based on that. We have to be able to establish driver identity, vehicle identity, time, date, location. If we can match all of those things and we can get sufficient information to lay the charge, we would. Very often we don't have all that. We'll have most of it, but not all of it. Without all of it, we can't lay the charge. What we can do is that we can go and send them a letter, send the registered owner a letter to say, hey, on this time, date, or location, we were, it was reported that something happened, and this is what your vehicle was seen doing, and fix it. Fix it in terms of behavior. That is something you can do, and you can actually make the report directly on the website. On tps.ca, there are ways of reporting many different things, from minor police reports to driving, specific vehicle driving issues to neighborhood driving complaints. We have here a question from Ishan Sheth. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Can I drive my friend's car if I don't have insurance, but his car has insurance? If you're a licensed driver and you do not live with that person, yes, you can certainly borrow someone's car with permission, unless there's a condition on their insurance to say someone under a certain age, or saying, Ishan can't drive it, specifically naming you as someone. Then it's an insurance issue, and they may not permit you, or they may deny a claim if you're driving. But if you're a legal driver for the class of vehicle that you want to operate and you have permission to drive it, you can. I mentioned earlier, if you don't live with them, and that's because there is if you're a G2 driver and you live with a vehicle owner, then the insurance company will generally want you to be listed as a driver. They could deny the claim. Okay. I'm looking to see, I think I skipped a couple of questions and I want to go back. and drink water, more water. Talked about this, talked about that. If you're watching and you have no idea who I am and why I'm here, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety and traffic law pretty much every day. When I'm not talking about it, I'm thinking about it. Just saying. Okay. Is there a minimum damage cost required for calling police for collision? You must be a psychic who is spying on me this morning because I was recording a video discussing this very topic. $2,000 is the minimum. Sorry, is the damage threshold requiring a collision report to be made. So if you have $2,000 of damage amongst all vehicles involved, then that is the minimum, or that is the number that the threshold you meet. I can't get that out of my mouth. In order to require it, which is when you have to report. Under $2,000 combined, you could just come up. You don't have to, but I think it's a better way to go. Now, I'm going to pull up the screen for collision reporting because I can do that. And what do we have here? Scrolly. There are certain situations where police will attend. You can see me poking out over the bottom right-hand corner. When will police attend a collision? So obviously if there's a fatality, if people are transported by ambulance to hospital, if there's any criminality, so if someone's impaired, stolen vehicle, or assault, we'll come out for that stuff. If they're transporting dangerous goods, chemicals or stuff, they have those flags in the car or the truck usually. Uninsured or suspended drivers, expired drivers, things like that, where the driver's not licensed. A collision to private, municipal, or highway property. Let's say they hit a street sign or a tree. Those are situations where we'll attend, regardless of the value of the damage. They hit that, you're in. It's damage. Let's see here. Collisions involving cyclists or pedestrians, obviously whether they're hurt or not. If they stay on property, if they stay at scene, that's we're going to go. Otherwise, they may be referred to a collision reporting center. And collisions that occur between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. where the vehicle is not drivable. Generally speaking, just because you need to get a tow does not mean anything. You'll actually get towed to a collision reporting center if they're open for service, and then you don't need to have us attend. Okay. Taking that off the screen. So your real question was $2,000, or the answer to your question was $2,000. But here's the problem. What if you're wrong? What if you say, it's less than $2,000? Then you go there and you drive a Benz and you find out that the 1-inch scratch in your paint job is $6,000. Well, now you're obligated to go, but it's not a difficult thing to go to a collision reporting center, and you don't have to go immediately. Obviously, if your vehicle's wrecked, you're going there anyway. Okay. Hope that helps. If you have more questions based on some of the yapping I did, please let me know. Here's a good question. How many kilometers over the speed? Sorry, I'm going to do this verbatim as opposed to just summarizing. How many kilometers over on a speed camera do you get a ticket? So you want to know when the trigger is. When will you get a ticket for breaking the law? Because it is the law you're breaking. It shouldn't matter what it is because you shouldn't be going that fast. But the truth is, I don't know. And you can go and watch the interview on our podcast, TPS Traffic Jam, where I speak to the team at the City of Toronto who manage that. And they'll tell you the same thing. Don't speed. But it's not 1 kilometer. And, you might be okay with 1 kilometer, but don't do it. Your goal should be never speeding. I actually don't know the actual number. They won't tell me. This is the one I was looking at earlier that I couldn't find because stuff updated. Okay, if you have gotten a speeding warning, can it affect your chances of getting accepted in a police academy? Everything could be. Will it? It's unlikely. If it's recent, maybe. If it's dated, unlikely. It depends. If you have a stunt driving charge, very likely that it'll interfere with your ability to get hired. But if it's old and you've had time to change your ways and a clean driving record since, then it's maybe. Everything is maybe. Everything just depends. If you had a warning, it's not a charge. It doesn't go on your driving record, but it does show up in our background check. Okay. Looking for new stuff. If you're watching and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. If you don't already follow us, please do. We're the Toronto Police Traffic Safety Programs Unit, which is traffic services in a little office, talking about traffic safety and stuff. So if you've got questions, we do this Monday to Friday, but feel free to ask us questions in the Q&A on our site or on our TikTok channel. I try and make a video to respond to those, but we have thousands of them, so it takes forever to get through them. Catching us live is obviously a great way to go, 10 to 11, Monday to Friday, usually. Holidays and stuff like that doesn't happen, but we do our best. I'm always responding to comments, though. Okay. Here's a great question. If I get into a collision, we don't have accidents, we have collisions. Should you move to the side and take the driver's details, or should we just do it on scene impeding traffic? Depends. If nobody's injured, if the vehicles are drivable, get off the road. Take pictures if you wish, get off the road. Because you're actually at risk where you are, not to mention the fact you're impeding traffic. Don't stand in the middle of the highway exchanging information. That is dangerous for your safety and the safety of the other party. Get off the road if you can drive. If the vehicles are not drivable, if everyone's okay, stay in your vehicles, wear your seatbelt. Obviously, if police or tows are coming, you do what you have to do, but safety is paramount. So stay in your vehicles, because you may still be, the collision may not be finished. There may be other vehicles finding ways to drive into you. Welcome back.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
It's okay. We were just talking about, should you move your vehicle off the road and exchange information there, or do you stand in the middle of the road impeding traffic?
Oh no, get off the road.
Yeah, unless somebody's injured or you're waiting for an ambulance, like there's different situations. But if that's the case, I say sit in the car, seatbelt on, because the collision may not be over. Somebody else may be driving into you.
Or if you have to, get out of the vehicle and move way off the roadway, way far off the roadway. Because of secondary collisions that do occur, they can sometimes scatter everywhere.
Yes. Oh, can I report someone going slow on the road, like driving 20 in a posted 50? 20 to 50, is that a common thing? Is it illegal? Is it unsafe? You can report all sorts of things. If you think they're impaired, that's one thing. If you think they're just looking for an address, trying to find, like we're talking about a side road. I don't know if doing 20 is as egregious as one might think, because doing 20 on a posted 80, I have a problem with.
There are situations where farm implements will be traveling on the road, maybe traveling at 20 kilometers an hour. ATVs will be traveling at 20 kilometers an hour because that's the maximum they can travel on a road that's maximum is 50. So is it really unreasonable? No, but there could be something more going on, like they're on their phone, or they're impaired, or they're distracted, or something else. So it depends, but yeah, the option is always there.
Here's a question. Is it illegal to have a thin blue line on your vehicle, like a painted line? No. There's no law against having a blue highlight or design, like as long as it's not offensive even if it's offensive language, I don't think it's against the law.
No.
License plates, they won't let you print with offensive language, which is good.
If that thin blue line covers your windshield,
that's different.
Or the windows to the left or right of you, that is different. But other than that,
you can't obscure your vision. Okay. Before we get to some of the newer ones, I want to go back to why is not wearing a seatbelt illegal? Because I'm shocked.
Why is not wearing a seatbelt?
And why must you wear a seatbelt? Why is it the law?
Well, first of all, we know that seatbelts save lives. And secondary, if you become involved in a collision, even a minor collision, that jostle can jostle you out of your seat. I think about commercial motor vehicles, tandem trucks or transport trucks that have an air ride seat. One big bump out of that air ride seat can launch you flying. Most vehicles, the same thing. It holds you in so that you can maintain control of your vehicle or recover control of your vehicle should you be knocked out of control. If you're not seated where you are supposed to be seated, you've lost all control.
I buy that.
Plus, it saves lives and saves injuries.
And as I mentioned earlier when you were not here, is that seatbelts, a lot of people think that airbags do it all. Airbags work in conjunction with seatbelts, not instead of.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like to remind people of that because they think that also an airbag deploys at like 200 miles per hour. You don't want to meet that at full deployment speed.
No.
Bad. A lot of people actually get injured from them.
Especially if you're traveling forward, because objects in motion tend to stay in motion. That includes you and your body. So if your vehicle comes to an abrupt stop, you continue flying forward.
Yeah,
Better to have that seatbelt holding you in place before there's a secondary impact of your head, your body, into the steering wheel, into the airbag, into the B pillar, the A pillar.
well, ideally, you want that airbag to fully deploy before you come into contact with it, as opposed to catch it on the way out when there's plastic and panels, wear the seatbelt. Just that's the answer. Okay. Boom. I got a question. We covered that here. Sir, if we have a G2 license means we are new. So how many passengers allowed to carry in highway? Well, highway being any road in the province of Ontario. They're all the highway. Some are expressways, some are not, but they're all the highway. And in terms of limitations to passengers, you have to have, obviously, during regular hours, you can have as many people in the vehicle as you have seatbelts and seating for. Seatbelts or seating with seatbelts. You can't have seats without seatbelts. Now, when you talk about how many people can you have, there are restrictions between the first and second 6-month period of being. First year you have 2 6-month periods. The first one is a restriction of between 12 midnight and 5 a.m. You can have no more than one passenger who is not an immediate family member under the age of 20, because there's an exemption for family members. In the second 6 months, that one turns to 3. So between midnight and 5 a.m., you can have up to 3 people under the age of 20. And I think the idea is to prevent you from having people who might distract you or be up to no good, drinking, partying, and you're the designated driver, just running into greater problems. That's it. And of course, you have to maintain a 0 BAC, which is blood alcohol content. But that's
drugs as well.
And drugs as well. Yes. Question.
It is 11, Sean, and
time to go.
I didn't get an awful lot of time to sit down. I'm sorry I didn't. But tomorrow, I'm not around.
You're not around?
I'm not. Thursday, I'm not around, and Friday, I'm not around. So I did want to sit down for at least a few moments and say hello.
Well, we are glad to have you. Do you have time for a joke?
Is it a good one?
I don't know. We have a couple of jokes. What kind of haircut does a bee get? A buzz cut.
Not bad.
That's not bad. Of late.
I actually have a few that there's good ones as well. But
okay.
I don't have them with me.
Oh, okay. Well, when we get you next time. The Wednesday joke was, if I had a job at a glass factory. Sorry, I had a job at a glass factory once, but got fired for withholding information from my boss. He said transparency was very important to him. I actually like that one. Why can't you book a hotel on the moon? Because it's full.
And there is no apps for it.
There's no apps for it. And he has left. Apparently someone is standing here waiting for him. So, okay, fine. Hey, Dad, what did you think of this blue shirt? Looks like it could use some cheering up. That was not good. Try not to spell part backward. It's a trap. That's not bad. That's not bad. I like that, actually. Let's see here. I always wondered how rabbits styled their fur. They probably use hairspray. And the last one bringing us up to it's in yesterday's. Sorry, we got 2 more. Monday, April 10th's calendar joke is, I couldn't find chocolate mousse at the grocery store, so I got elk instead. Actually, no, that's terrible. Chocolate elk, no. Why did the banana visit the doctor? It wasn't peeling well. And now we're updating, and it's done. Okay, we will be back tomorrow from 10 to 11 to do this all over again. If you've got questions, we generally, but not always, have answers. That was not the button I wanted to press. Oh, boy. Okay, couple quick things. Enjoy the beautiful weather. Yes, 18 degrees is the rumor I'm hearing today, so I hope that that's the case, because I could totally wear sandals today when I get home. And so be safe out there. Have fun. But people will be acting differently when the weather gets nicer. People tend to do things like go faster. Don't go faster. The roads are dirty. The laws are still in effect. But I do hope for nice weather. I saw a lot of people riding bicycles over the weekend. That was nice. I rode a bicycle over the weekend. It was nice. My back hurt. But it was nice. There was a rumor that lane splitting on a motorcycle at a red light is legal. It's not. It's still not legal. Do we understand why someone may not want to be the back of the pack at a stop? Because if another vehicle doesn't stop, you become the person or the combination of person and vehicle that they run into. So do you sneak in between two vehicles? Sometimes, but that's very different than running through traffic to the front of the line. That is still not legal and not excusable. And Andrew wants to know, is a banner allowed at the top of the windshield? If yes, how far down the windshield it is from the top? I've seen car clubs with banners. If your vehicle was manufactured, banners. Stickers cannot be on the front windshield if it goes into the area of where the windshield sweeps. So if your windshield wipers touch the banner, it's not legal. They cannot interfere with the driver's view. I was discussing with myself, tint versus banners. Banners are different than tint. Tint is specifically stated cannot be there if your vehicle is 2017 or newer. 2016, you can have 3 inches or 75 millimeters from the top. It's the same thing, 75, 3. But the deal is that with a banner, as long as it's not in the area swept by the windshield wiper, you're not obstructing the driver's view, or so is the interpretation. All right. I started to say goodbye. I'm going to continue to say goodbye. This has been Ask a Traffic Cop, that place on the internet where you can come and ask your traffic and police questions Monday to Friday from 10 to 11. Now, this is Tuesday because Monday was a holiday, but we will be back tomorrow. Please follow us, like us, go to trafficcop.ca, follow us on all the different platforms because we have a whole bunch of them. We have different stuff that goes up on each one. So if you're bored for the next 5 minutes, follow us everywhere. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate your time, and we'll do this all again another day. Yeah, that's it. Kay Adamski said that they asked a question. Did we miss you? It's possible. Okay. What are we doing here? What did the rollerblading down the... Adam, I don't get it. Looking for K. Oh. Still trying to find this one. I'm going to hang out there for a few minutes while we go offline everywhere else. All right. Looking here. What is this question? Trying to find it. Okay, if somebody finds the question that went unanswered, please let me know. But I am going to disappear now because I've got a video to produce, a training video. G2 drivers can drive vans, yes. And yeah, Tracy, I didn't see the question either from Kay. So Kay, put a comment in one of the videos and I'll respond to you in a comment. And I think Kay is trolling you because I can't find it. I just scrolled back. Okay. That being said, we're out of here. Have a great day.